Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be working on some of my Alder Bonsai, starting with this little one here. Let me just pop in a drinks can, regular full-size drinks can, so you can get a sense of the scale of this tree. It's only quite tiny. I've heard it said that Alder don't make good small bonsai, but I'm quite pleased with this so far. I have a number of small ones and some large ones as well, which we'll also look at in this video. But I find with these small trees, and even some of the larger ones, if they're in a shallow pot, they need to sit in a tray of water, and then one result of that is you tend to get a lot of moss on the roots and on the trunk, which can lead to rot. And in this case, I'm not quite sure what this grey fungusy matter is. A good tool for cleaning that off is a good stiff brush, but at this scale I actually find an old toothbrush actually works much better. Does the job quite well. I can brush off a lot of the excess moss from those roots. I don't want them to rot, and it's much gentler, obviously easier to get into some of the little crevices and things. So if you haven't got a toothbrush in your bonsai tool bag, perhaps you should get one. But I think that looks much better. The moss isn't going to rot the roots now, and I may need to add a little bit more bonsai soil. Tend to knock a little out each time you clean it, but there we go. So this tree needs a little bit of trimming. Some of these larger leaves I want to remove. Just chop that back. I'm going to remove those extra large leaves in favour of the smaller ones. Obviously it's a bit late in the season to do a full defoliation, but it's okay to take off any little really sort of out of place odd one here and there. Isn't going to make the tree worry too much. So just nipping out a few shoots here and there, keeping it into this compact size, encouraging lots of branching. So that's tree number one. It's getting a little bit lanky this side as well, so I'm going to take that out there. Okay, with the can, quick 360. Just taking a little bit here and there just to keep it within bounds. Okay, so that's tree number one. Here's tree number two. Despite what they will tell you, this tree was sat in a tray of water, and a big fat slug had got across that body of water, and I found it sat munching away the leaves. Don't generally get a lot of slug issue with trees, but this one seemed to find this particular specimen very tasty. So said slug is an ex-slug. I can only assume that the tree had dried out, or that the tray had dried out, and the slug had got across and was lurking under this foliage. So the next time I watered it, I didn't see it, and then it couldn't get out again, probably. More likely than it crossing a body of water, I guess. So this tree, same deal as the last one, a bit of a clean up. Stop some of this moss because it has been sat in a tray of water. It's not as bad as the other one, so I have a little birch seedling here which I could keep, but I'm not going to. I have a lot of birch trees, so sometimes you have to say no, and this was one of those cases. This tree, I'm just trying to build a nice crown, so I am going to prune this branch back just slightly. This is more a case of just a sort of profile prune. I have been nipping it out from time to time, hence we have got some nice little new growths here and there, but it's one of those jobs you need to do ongoing, and then occasionally you need to say, right, I don't like this branch that's coming back across the trunk here, so I'm going to take that out altogether and do a bit more structural work. Of course, the beauty with deciduous trees is you can do a lot more of the structural work in the winter time when the tree is bare, which obviously you can't with a conifer. Another issue I have, I'm going to have to do something about my benches because they are getting overcrowded, and so a lot of my trees are clustered up too close together to be able to get good light in all round and plenty of growth. So this one is very skinny, so that's something I'm going to rectify soon. A lot of my benches are getting old and rickety anyway, and I was going to do something about them before lockdown, and then of course lockdown happened, put a stop to that, but I shall be building myself a couple of new bonsai benches in the near future. Just going to nip off those two very big leaves there. Yeah, that's it for tree number 2. Okay, tree number 3, and this is probably my favourite tree of these small alders. It has a lovely root structure, which at the moment is quite hidden by all this moss, so I'm just going to try and get into that. I don't want it sitting there all winter and rotting the bark. Again, because it's been sat in a tray of water, because I found that it will droop, all these leaves will droop by mid-afternoon on even a fairly moderately warm day. Alders are known for being trees that live alongside rivers and waterways, much like a willow. Very thirsty trees, so yeah. So I just like this nabari. It's not a classical nabari. It's old and it's thick and it's chunky, but it has some interest. Let me see if I can zoom you in a little so you can see it for yourself. A little bit dark under there. The leaves on this tree have generally come down quite nicely in size, better than any of the other alder that I've got. I mean, still got some largest leaves, but if you look at an alder leaf in nature, they can be 3-5 inches long, much bigger. So I just wanted to clean this one up. I'm not really going to do anything else with it. It's got a nice little shape. Do have one longish branch there. Just going to nip the tip out of. As I say, I have been sort of pinching them already this summer, so there we go. That's tree number 3. Okay, tree number 4. This one is much larger. and as such the leaves haven't come down in size quite so well, I don't believe, but going to keep working on it. This tree has had a couple of prunings this year, and this is just a bit of a formative pruning. It's quite skinny from this plane, because I had a lot of bark die back here, so still got a lot of work to be done really to get this to fill out, but I know I've said this many times, bonsai is an illusion. If you look at it from this side, yes, it's got a lot of inverse taper and it's quite skinny. From here it's got quite a nice taper, so that's what really counts. So I'm just going to do a kind of rough chopping back. I'm going to cut back the top considerably, so it's just a kind of profile prune, as it were, just to give me this crown. I'm going to take off a few leaves that are, now this branch here has come right back inside the tree. Don't know how well you can see that, but the branch emanates from here, and instead of going out on this side has come in on this side to the center of the tree. I'm just going to push it back round. It's so supple, the growth on these alders. I can actually just push it there, and I'm going to cut it off short, but I think it will stay there on its own, and I will keep an eye on that. I could throw a bit of wire on it just to make sure it stays. In fact, I think I will. I'll come back to that. So yeah, just taking out a few bits that are pointing in the wrong direction and a bit of profile pruning. And this tree is beginning to take on some shape. Still undecided about this lower branch here. I kind of like it and I kind of don't. It is helping to fatten this section of the trunk, and it's going to be a will it stay or won't it stay for a bit longer. Maybe next season I'll make a decision, or maybe I'll procrastinate a little while longer. Who knows? Keep watching, you'll find out. Okay, so just remove a few bits that are hiding the trunk from the front here. It's got a lot of movement, and really quite pleased with that. I'm going to take out that piece, shorten that slightly. Yeah, I think that'll do. I will put a bit of wire on that this afternoon, I think, but I haven't got any out with me at the moment, so I can do that later. So that's tree number 4. Okay, tree number 5, and this is just a blob at the moment, and it's been growing really well. It's been cut back twice this season already. It's continued to put out a lot of foliage, and there's actually quite a nice tree underneath this complete blob. So because it's in a shallow tray, it's like the others, it's kept in water. Tree number 4 in that deeper pot, I don't stand it in water and it seems to cope all right. But this one again is in a shallow pot, so it's in water, so I do get a lot of moss growth on these rather nice roots, which is unfortunate because it covers them up, and obviously, like I said, it can cause rotting. Not careful. I also get a lot of this awful liverwort stuff, which is very ugly. Unlike a lot of people with bonsai, I don't even like moss on the surface of my soil particularly. Lots of people go to a lot of trouble to cultivate it, but it just doesn't please me aesthetically. So I'm not just removing the moss from the roots, I'm also removing it from the surface of the soil. That's better. Don't know how are you going to pick up those roots. It's quite a dull grey day. I'll take a photo with my phone later with the flash and you'll be able to see it, and I'll insert it in the video here. So let's give you a quick 360. As you can see, this has had a bit more room on the bench, and it's just grown gangbusters again. So first of all, I'm going to try and see if I can find you the trunk just by removing a few fending leaves that are hiding the trunk from view. It does have a rather nice trunk, even if I do say so myself, this tree. Good taper, lots of movement. Some interesting deadwood features. Again, traditionally I know people don't like deadwood features in deciduous trees, but I do. It's what I see in nature, it's what I see around me, and I like to incorporate it naturally if I can. I don't go out of my way to carve gins or sharis in particular into my deciduous trees, but this one has formed naturally here and again here, and so yeah, I'm just leaving it. But yeah, hopefully move a few more of these leaves. I'm trying to see what you can see on the screen. And there's a better view of the trunk for you. Let's move in a little. It's that leaf, that's the one. From where I'm sitting I couldn't see which leaf was blocking the view. That's better. So the trunk comes up and across and back up and across. Lots of nice movement. So let's just give it a trim, just to a kind of vague profile pruning. I've fed and really watered this tree really well, which is why we have these great big leaves, which is more characteristic of a alder leaf, but they will come down in size in time, and I think once I get this tree a little bit more developed, I will be able to get the leaves down to a more happy medium, and it is always a happy medium. This tree will always look best, I think, in the winter, when you can fully appreciate the movement in this trunk and see the branches, and I think it will always suffer a little bit with the big leaves, and I think that's a trade-off. And of course there is a reason why most bonsai shows for deciduous trees in particular are in the winter, and that is because of being able to see the fine tracery of branches and twigs Okay, so simple as that. I mean, I shall continue to pinch out any growths that come out and get too straggly. Other than that, rescue the old grasshopper. I have no idea whether you could see that, but grasshopper just jumped from there to there. Nah, he's gone. Anyway, so that's just opened up the crown a little bit. So here's a quick 360 of this one. As I say, much more rounded because it has that bit more space on the bench. There we go. And that's all for this video today. Thank you all for watching in these uncertain times as we're coming out of lockdown. Please take care of yourselves. Please stay safe.